Good morning, everyone. My name is Are Føllesdal Kjønn. I'm CEO here at Vis-A-Vis. Wholeheartedly welcome to this webinar on how to transform your operations through real-time visualization. Here at Vis-A-Vis, we aim at enabling our operators and customers to make their industrial facilities safer, greener, and more efficient. Our customers achieve this by using our digital solution to engage their entire organization in seeing the total picture and solve complex problems. Vis-A-Vis is enabling individuals and organizations to solve problems and challenges through a human-centric visualization and simplifying complex tasks. In this online seminar, we will learn from one of the founders of Vis-A-Vis on how it all started and why we are here. If you have questions during the presentation, please post them on the online chat and we will run a Q&A session after the presentation. The presentation and webinar will also be recorded and will be made available to you online and on an email. With that, I'm pleased to introduce Øystein Veland, co-founder of Vis-A-Vis and product champion here at Vis-A-Vis, to take us through the research and innovation and leading up to where we are today in Vis-A-Vis. Øystein, please.
Yeah, thank you, Are. Okay, so today's topic is to talk about why Vis-A-Vis exists. I will go through the origins of this solution back in the research and the industry initiatives and kind of involvement dialogue that we have had over the years that has shaped this product, and try to talk about some of the guiding ideas and the special qualities that are part of our product. So to bring that story to the foreground, I can say less about more the technical details, stuff, the individual projects, funding, company growth, and so on. But we can get back to that in the questions round, perhaps. But hopefully, you will, from this presentation, you will get a clearer sense of what kind of product this is and for whom it is. So I will not talk about a lot of people here, although you will see that a lot of people have been involved in this, but this is where it all started, these two guys. It was my colleague Gisle Andresen and myself. Gisle is a psychologist, I'm an engineer in cybernetics. And we had worked together for many years at the Institute of Energy Technology in Halden, Norway, and the Halden reactor project. So we had a quite unique background in research into complex socio-technical systems, safety-critical operations like control rooms in the nuclear and oil and gas industry, working with how to make optimal interfaces for the human users and decision makers in these environments. So that created a unique opportunity to go into a very broad range of human-computer interaction research fields. I've listed some of them here. I won't go into the details here, but these are large areas of study by themselves, and we were lucky enough to work with many of them. And they provided a lot of insights on how to design, of course, basic usability, empower users with the visualization, work user-centered, and so on. But the key thing is we came from this unique melting pot of research areas that we felt could be brought to use also in other domains, and it could be combined in new ways. So, and another factor behind or driving force behind it all was these major industry initiatives 10 or 15 years ago, like integrated operations, also called smart fields in some companies, Industry 4.0 and digitalization, which is a buzzword even today. But all of these express a kind of a vision of a paradigm shift where we also would like to use technology to transform deeply how we collaborate and make decisions. But we were particularly interested in collaboration support and decision making, and we saw that many of the actual solutions in the area were not so impressive. Use more video conferencing and start meetings more quickly. That didn't seem like very radical innovation. So we saw a lot of this quite incremental innovation, like the classic example here from the early automobiles, which were really just carriages without a horse. So it was kind of stuck in the old paradigm of horse-based transportation and applying that in a new era of automobiles. But that is really what you get when you just ask users what they want. That will be they will ask for marginal improvements of what they already know. And vendors, what will they do? They will tweak their existing solutions and sell what they already have. So you need to kind of go behind that these things to achieve really radical collaboration. And so we had this idea for a joint PhD project in the context of integrated operations in the oil industry. And we would like to do something more like building a Tesla, something radically new that kind of meets the challenges of the new era. But we didn't have any particular, as you saw, we had no background in planning or anything like that. We were kind of looking for an interesting problem that we could solve and then build knowledge about how that solution was created and how it worked. So it was almost by chance that we came across this area of operational planning and execution. Some colleagues in Trondheim at Marintech, they set us in contact with an operations center for a large facility in the North Sea, where we were able to go in and do really deep user research. So and this evolved into, in fact, a whole design documentary film where we captured the different interviews and field studies we did of these people to create a vivid picture of their challenges and their goals. So in this field, we found a lot of interesting stuff. We found this kind of formidable problem that they were trying together to solve, balancing all the activities and the resources and competing for different demands and resource bottlenecks, working across multiple systems, lots of meetings, PowerPoints, Excel sheets and ad hoc solutions, doing the best they can, but the processes were slow, even though operational planning really requires frequent replanning and agility. So here was a lot of interesting stuff to be found, and we kind of built this relation with all these people and created this film that played a major role in the framing of the problem that we later solved. Okay, following this, we then went into the design mode and tried to create some concepts, new concepts that responded to the findings that we observed in this operation center. So here you can see one of the concepts, which we called the scenario composer. This was envisioned as some kind of tool for urgent, large-scale replanning to be used in like a war room setting where different stakeholders could get together and discuss and deliberate, share an overview, directly interact, view all the different constraints of the problem that we had looked at earlier. So this was really meant as kind of a radical idea. We had some others that were more down to earth, but when we went back to these people, the experts, they said, well, this one we would really like to see more of. Go further in this direction. So we did that and started detailing out and designing and working, even creating a fully working prototype that explored this idea in detail. So now I'll skip 9 months, I think, ahead, and what you see now is the finished prototype of the scenario composer, which was a rich visualization tool on this large touchscreen, and it used we had to invent a lot of stuff to make this work, to kind of embrace the whole complex problem, and you see this ultra compact plan presentation, which is a different view. You can move jobs and you see how it impacts the personnel on board booking and the helicopter bookings and other constraints of this problem. So this was one step, and then after creating the prototype, of course, as researchers, we wanted to evaluate it. So on the right-hand side now you see a clip from one of the user tests that we did of this, where we gathered teams and created a kind of a role play, giving them different opposing missions and observing and listening to how they were able to solve this kind of coordination problem together. So we used this the stand-up collaborative large screen arena as one condition, and in the other case, the same people would sit at the table in a conventional meeting setup, where one guy controlling the mouse and having the power. And we could observe very different dynamics and behaviors in those two cases that helped us realize that there is something about these large touch screens and the type of interaction you get there that is very valuable. And also lots of things we had to do to make this work, to gather the kind of constraints and concerns of all these different user roles on one single surface. So, yeah, in retrospect, looking at this whole design process from the video, the documentary, the user research to the tested, validated prototype, there was one key topic that went through the whole thing. That was the interdisciplinary collaboration, because that was really the core of our PhD. What we wanted to ensure that we worked with the problems that exist not inside of each specialist discipline, but at the boundaries and the meeting points between these different perspectives. So, so the idea was to create articles and build knowledge about how to do such things and get a PhD. But this, for the PhD, this turned out a bit fatal, because we came to a crossroads, because the end users, even from the original operations center that we studied, they took part of this testing, and they said, well, we want this. So looking back now, at least I can see that we came to a crossroads where we had to choose between the academic path and creating a product with all that follows from that. So we also showed this solution to people at Gaz de France, the UA platform. And the next phase of development was really to take inspirations from the scenario composer and use that to solve the needs that they had on UA. So again, we went back as researchers doing field studies onshore, offshore, to understand the locations, the roles, the user arenas, and so on. That would be relevant to do here. We added more data integrations. We added more emphasis on the kind of sharp end of the users. For instance, adding work permits and the safety aspects, HSE aspects of the planning and execution collaboration. And also the idea of collaboration expanded from this standing in front of a screen all together to also having these having these public displays at 3 key locations, onshore, offshore, and at the supply base. Having the shared awareness was an important value. The ability to just look up at this screen from a distance, and to walk up and use it as you walk past, and also to reduce the need for meetings and to make the meetings that you have more efficient. All of these were use areas for this solution. Okay, moving on, the next challenges we took on here was to work with the Borregaard biorefinery in Salzburg and Total's new project, the Martin Linge, which is now owned by Equinor. They had similar problems or needs, and saw that our solutions were relevant for them, and we worked with them to develop some new features, like the rescheduling made available for everybody in the organization, more focus on utilization of the workforce, and yeah, many other things you will see more later in a demo video. And also the technical maturity of our system or platform increased. It was now a multi-customer platform, a scalable cloud-based backend, and we added integrations for SAP and Primavera, which are typical systems that many of our customers use. And although Borregaard and Martin Linge are totally different industries, and one is completely new, the other is a old factory complex, They had the same idea as Neptune about where our solution fits, and that is at the kind of intersection between planning and execution, the sharper end of the planning process. So that's the background for this slogan, where planning meets reality. And the underlying issue driving these companies to work with us to solve this problem is, of course, that there is a major cost involved that we address with this solution. And that it's kind of accepted that that it's very hard to coordinate everything in very complex operations. So it's typical to see a lot of the symptoms that I've listed here. They are recognizable typically in all of our customers for the people who know the actual realities on the ground. But also this is a problem that not everybody is aware of. And so to help communicate what we were doing, why we are doing it, make it understandable to kind of normal people who don't work in this setting, we found it useful to make an animation film that kind of, in a very condensed way, tried to explain the story of the problem that we solve and how our solution fits into that.
Slow and insufficient coordination drives up the costs of operations significantly. You want the very best planning and execution to keep down cost and to keep safe. But a plan may have many variables and constraints, and there's always a chance you missed some small detail simply because it's hard for anyone to grasp all the small bits and still get the full picture. Poor planning leads to weak decisions, and the result is bottlenecks, wasted resources, and costs. And unforeseen things do happen. Circumstances change, and you need to replan. You need more frequent updates, more than the usual weekly. You need to update instantly, live, in a way that shows the full picture. And after all, time and quality is of the essence. LivePlan by Vis-A-Vis technology does all that and more. Imagine all the information gathered on one interactive surface. LivePlan is the ultimate tool for communicating across disciplines and across distance. With its instant update, everyone gets the same information, both onshore and offshore, and at the same time, the full picture. With only 2 basic operations, tap and swipe, anyone can use LivePlan instantly. LivePlan invites collaboration across disciplines. Meetings can be more informal and spontaneous, and will focus on what's relevant for you. The clear and orderly layout makes inconsistencies easy to spot, and even easier to handle. Sharing information amongst co-workers and across disciplines increases situation awareness for all. Everyone knows what's going on. This tightens every small bit of activity and ripples throughout the operation, improving workflow, reducing overtime, and saving resources. All these savings added together amount to significant cost reductions. Vis-A-Vis LivePlan empowers you to make smarter decisions faster.
Okay, so you may still wonder a bit what kind of tool is it, how does it fit with other types of systems and concepts that you know. So the idea here is that we bring up data from different silo systems like maintenance, booking, scheduling, operations planning, and so on, and bring it all together on a unified surface. And this unified surface can be used by different parts of the organization in a new way. So the planning team will have a more holistic overview across more plans and other plan-related factors, and they will be able to push this immediately to the workers and the management who will be executing the plans, who can again respond to and prepare for and contribute to heightening the quality of these plans. So we get the positive cycle there. And Vis-A-Vis is often a bit confused with other types of systems. So some try to see it as a kind of a planning tool because you can do planning in it. So why not call it a planning tool? But that doesn't capture the whole thing. We are a complement to the specialist planning systems. We sit on top of them and make them more effective, and the communication around plans becomes more efficient. And similarly, for management, some like to compare Vis-A-Vis to a kind of a dashboard, but it's much more than a dashboard. A dashboard looks in the rearview mirror of the efficiencies that you have, what you have accomplished. Vis-A-Vis looks into the future to help you actually proactively manage the things that deliver this efficiency. And Vis-A-Vis is more than just a plan report. So it's a new way of thinking of broadcasting and engaging with your plans. So we propose that this is really a new category of tool, a digital coordination arena, where we frame things a bit differently. The point is that you engage the whole organization in joint optimization of your activities and resources. And one of the reasons why we can do this is because we have all these different features that kind of attract and bring value to the different user groups in different ways. But this is relevant stuff for all of these user groups that we saw previously. We will see more the details of the features later, but this is not a conventional plan presentation for sure. And you know that Henry Gantt's 100-year-old Gantt chart is still synonymous with the plan presentation even today. That's of course a testament to some qualities that it has, but it's also notoriously complex. It doesn't scale very well. So in big operations you will see these walls plastered with printouts and using marker pens to interact with it and so on. So to really grasp a very complex parallel operation is not something that a Gantt chart is very good at. But still, that's the kind of standard way to present plans, and the alternative is often just plain lists. So we thought we could do better than this in this age. So what we really do one of the things we do in Vis-A-Vis is that we take well-proven techniques from multidimensional data visualization and just apply that to plans as plan data. So from that we get a lot of the kind of special features that we have, special ways of doing things that you see in our solution, such as having auto-optimized layouts where things are more condensed based on your needs, so that you can really keep everything on one screen. That's an important goal for us, so that you don't have these 50 pages of PDF printouts from a Gantt chart. And also the possibility to look at data both at the micro and the macro level, depending on your needs, and of course to get details on demand. But finding the details about each job is not the central point. It's seeing the holistic view, the overview. That's the key. Also the use of multiple interlinked views is important, and kind of engaging users in active mining, not just, of course the at a glance use is important, but then you can, with one tap, you can reveal a lot of interesting stuff. The lower example here is in fact from last year. You see that in fact the recent pandemic, COVID-19, has brought about a kind of revolutionary breakthrough of use of information visualization techniques in journalism and stuff like that. So similar things are happening in other domains. But these tools are typically very complex to use, so we have also tried very much to simplify it so it works in an operational and collaborative setting. So Vis-A-Vis has to be so quick that you can actually use it in a meeting, and when you walk past this public display, stuff like that. So it's not, at least not just for sitting down and exploring things over time, but it should be in the corner of your eye and able to work at the speed of these busy operational environments. And that's an ongoing struggle because everybody wants to put more in here. And that challenges this core value of simplicity. But we're really, that's also a defining feature of the solution. A new round of important customer collaborations followed after this. I focus here on Aker BP, where we work to scale up the solution to be able to address larger scale operations, more assets, more source systems, different time perspectives, a lot of things. And it's also important that we didn't do this just for Aker BP's purpose. This was also equally important for other major players in the industry that we work with, both in the upstream and the downstream oil and gas. So we are ready to, with the solution, after collaboration with Aker BP, we could address major refineries and any size industry problems. And another important, interesting customer is Repsol Sinopec, which was the first point where the product had matured to a point where we could actually deliver a well-defined off-the-shelf product. They wanted what we had and we gave it to them, and kind of that's it, to put it simple. You will hear more from Repsol Sinopec in the next webinar in this series, so I won't talk more about that. But that was an important milestone delivery that didn't need any additional development. I will now show another video, which is how we, at this point, we would like to present this product to potential users in the organization. This one was made for Aker BP, for internal use, to kind of encourage people to take a look at this tool and show what it could do for them. I will now briefly introduce LifePlan and how it gives you an overview of different plans and operational constraints. Here we see a timeline that shows 2 weeks ahead. On the top there is weather forecast and logistics, and below are maintenance plan jobs and activities from the asset plan. Over here we have maps and other panels to help you orient yourself and quickly find exactly what you need in all this. So let me show you some of what you can do here. I begin by selecting IP to get the map and plans belonging to this platform only. Here I can open, for instance, project activities in the asset plan, as well as mechanical jobs in the maintenance plan. And here you see a lot of information about each work order, such as the time, status, progress, and disciplines involved. Red color means that the job is safety critical. When I select the job, its location is highlighted in the area map. Up here we see the discipline involved, and further down we also see the material status and other important attributes. And you can also see which system the job belongs to. From this overview, I can quickly bring up certain jobs, for instance, only those on the intermediate deck that pop out here across disciplines, or just the instrument technician jobs that appear here within the automation group. And I can also highlight jobs on a particular day. Here we see only jobs scheduled for execution on the 3rd. Here I have opened a group that contains quite many jobs. And the panel here tells me that some of these are overdue. I can tap this lightly to highlight only those that are overdue among the other jobs. Press slightly longer if you want to filter deeper and see only the matching jobs. Here I filter so that I see only the safety critical red jobs. Turn on this switch to speed up more complex filtering. Like here when I want to see jobs on a particular deck and only within a few selected disciplines. If you seek more information, just press and pull down to open more details about the work order itself, as well as the different subtasks inside it. So, the basic idea in LifePlan is to gather on one surface all the information you need to see the full picture and coordinate activities for an asset, both from a planning and execution perspective. And as you can see, you don't have to be an expert in the underlying systems here. Just go ahead and use the few simple operations I've shown and begin to explore for yourself how this tool can be useful to you. And should you feel a bit lost, just press the home button up here and you will return to start. Okay, so we are now on the 3rd major generation of solution, which is a web-based client. And that offers a lot of possibilities that we've listed on the right-hand side here, like a cross-platform, the possibility to integrate seamlessly with third-party apps, and work in different settings, to work on large and small screen sizes, even tablets, perhaps mobile devices, and to track the use in using analytics and so on. And so, but we want to preserve the important core qualities of the original product and in meaningful ways expand to new formats. So we still want this kind of a collaboration arena thinking to be behind it all, but you can see that this can also expand to out in the field and the meeting rooms and other arenas where you don't have this large touchscreen available. And another ongoing set of ongoing topics in the product development now is that we are working with major international customers like Repsol and OMV, and where we are applying the standard features of our system, but also see that we are encountering slightly different new needs that they have. For instance, in onshore oil and gas operations, we have this production deferment, which is an important parameter to optimize your planning for, perhaps, but similar to the personnel on board limitations that we saw in offshore operations earlier in the first phase of our work. We encounter more complex logistics operations in the Peruvian jungle, for instance. And we can also see that these customers are interested also in using this kind of tool in earlier planning stages in the creating an integrated plan. So we have this dilemma that I've indicated on the right side, kind of how do we balance between focusing on the sharp end versus the earlier phases in the planning. And we are working to support streamlined deliveries worldwide and to grow the company. We are now 35 employees and building a partner network. So to distribute the competence about this product is an important ongoing task. And also we saw that during the pandemic we have not been able to work as closely as we would like to do, and which has been kind of the recipe behind Vis-A-Vis so far. That has been unavailable to us during the pandemic. So we really hope to engage more deeply with also these new customers when things are lighting up now. So, okay, so that was the current main focus for Vis-A-Vis. But we also, I would like to point out that our innovation journey is by no means over. We have this major research project called OptiPlan, which will run until 2034, where we are trying to reuse the basic recipe behind the original innovation here, to work with multidisciplinary research and collaborate very deeply with different types of stakeholders and industry, and trying to reach a whole new level of innovative and powerful solution, where we introduce algorithms to automate parts of the holistic planning and scheduling that we today support in a kind of a manual way. So Vis-A-Vis has always been about optimizing your plans and kind of bringing all the data and the human knowledge into this large puzzle. And we are continuing that approach also when we bring in optimization and AI type of solutions. And also we know that this is very much about creating an organizational transformation, changing the way you work, and there are change management issues in this that we also address in this project. So my last slide here shows a recent design sprint that we conducted, where we, even during the pandemic, were able to connect to our customers and subject matter experts like the mathematicians and other working on this project, where we created a prototype of a AI-powered rescheduling assistant that would support the end user in making optimal replanning decisions in the face of unforeseen events. And we did user testing and validation with different types of stakeholders, different companies, and they all agree that this is a very promising next major step for Vis-A-Vis to take, and that our approach is unique and valuable. So with that, I think that was the brief story of why we are here and why we are still relevant today in the future. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Øystein. Very fascinating and inspiring story on how it all started and how we ended up here. Just to give you a little bit more details about available information, as Øystein mentioned, there are other seminars coming up, for example, one with Repsol Sinopec on the October 6th, where you will actually learn how an operator is using Vis-A-Vis to achieve some of the goals that we set forth. There are also, these videos that you have seen today are also available on our website and on YouTube and different channels. So please also engage with us if you need further information. Then to the Q&A session. There is one question coming in here. Are you developing a solution to write back to SAP?
Yes. We have that. That was part of the original scenario composer even, and it was one of the key features we made for Borregaard and Martin Linge. So the ability to adjust the plans and then easily, safely write them back via an approval mechanism.
So when you say that it's a shared information, it's also shared with the SAP users, not only the Vis-A-Vis users.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Good. So maybe in a generic way, we can say that Vis-A-Vis has a digital technology and solution that is bidirectional or read and write, as opposed to many other digital solutions that are only consuming data from the sources and massaging them and visualizing them. We are actually a two-way technology base for that. That's good. We see that there's a lot of data in the solution. Just, the basics, Øystein. Do we need someone that are sitting and punching in all this data?
Oh, no. Well, that's still a misconception sometimes. And of course, it was called live plan for a reason, because you get this live data automatically pulled in. So the frequency updates varies, of course, but stuff like work permits, of course, you have to have very fresh data and almost real-time updates. So no, this flows automatically.
Flows automatically through the integrations. Very good. And on that note, you mentioned integrations with planning systems like Primavera and ERP systems like SAP. Can you elaborate a little bit more on what type of systems, how many systems are typically involved in a full implementation of Vis-A-Vis?
A typical customer will have a CMMS or maintenance system like SAP PM. It could be Maximo, it could be Comos, IFS, Workmate. Yeah, but that's one category that we typically use, and that's the most sophisticated features in Vis-A-Vis revolve around these types of plans. And we can also import Primavera, Safran, MS Project type of traditional project plans in a way. That's typical. We can also write back to them if that's required. And another class of systems is the booking system for personnel transport. For instance, you have Vantage in the UK sector, Da Vinci by Tieto in Norway. You do see the helicopter booking, the bed allocations, stuff like that. And some customers often have some spreadsheets, some glue between all the major systems that they also use, and we can use that as sources also.
So import Excel sheets.
Yeah, but again, our role is kind of to replace a lot of these ad hoc Excel sheets.
Yeah.
So we reduce the need for those kind of things.
Yeah.
And of course, we have the weather forecast. That's a standard feature. Yeah. And work permit systems like eVision. Yeah.
And we often get questions about, what kind of reporting facilities do we have in Vis-A-Vis? And we say that, the need for reporting goes away when you share this overview and holistic view on the operations in total.
Yeah, we like to say that was the old way of doing things. And Vis-A-Vis is the new way of sharing, which is kind of automatically the updated information is there. Yeah. By default. You don't have to push it. All the people that have to work to push things and create reports, and that should not be necessary today.
Yeah, and then we get the question here, can the solution be used on smaller devices?
Yeah. Of course, as I showed, even the mobile devices are relevant. We have made a prototype for a mobile version also, but because that doesn't give you the big picture. That's not what we would use a mobile phone for.
No.
But to bring this out in the field, for instance, that makes perfect sense.
And we show individual work orders, for
yes,
example.
so that's
things
more
like that.
narrow,
Yeah.
of course. And the tablet format is also very important for using meetings and more informal. But again, for a single user, single purpose, and we really want to kind of embrace the full complexity of this.
Yeah.
It's good to utilize these large screens, and even larger multi-screen setups, war room types of environments could be interesting.
Exactly. Second question here, what is the data integration platform, or do you pull directly from source systems?
Yeah, some customers have an integration platform that they want us to use, and we do that, but we can very easily integrate directly. We are quite flexible, I think.
Yeah.
So the
So
best
if they have a
performance is
data
often achieved by direct integration with SAP, for instance. These platforms have not always been created with kind of real-time data exchange in mind. So we have had some experiences there that you get suboptimal performance if you use, again, previous paradigm solutions in this new era.
So we can use existing data warehousing technologies, but we typically recommend to integrate directly with the sources.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then consume the data, contextualize it, organize it. And
the key thing is that the end users experience the systems as being in sync.
Yeah.
If they are out of sync, then it's not reliable. So that has to be kept in mind when you choose the integration architecture.
Okay, good, thank you. Another question, how long does it take to implement Vis-A-Vis in an organization? I mean, we all experience, implementing ERP systems, and it takes years before we're done. What about Vis-A-Vis?
Well, it depends. That's the question, I think. We have been working with a lot. Some of our early customers were kind of early adapters because they were in a process already, had their ideas about how to work, how to use new technology, and we fit right into that picture. So of course, in that case, they have the kind of change management and the idea of the vision to work in place in a way. So then it's easier. But if you kind of stumble across it and don't have the maturity and the technical organizational level, then it will take some more time, I think.
Yeah,
but,
and it depends, of course, on the infrastructure you have, the applications you have, and things like that. But you mentioned one customer, Repsol Sinopec, that are kind of off-the-shelf customer, off-the-shelf product. And there, the implementation project is in the range of 6 to 8 weeks for the rollout of the various offshore platforms for that organization. Okay, can you set up dependencies in Vis-A-Vis, or is this something that has to be set up in all the planning systems to be used by Vis-A-Vis?
Yeah, good question. We can, of course, we do import the dependencies that exist in the source systems, like between the operations in a work order or between activities in an asset plan. But one of the upcoming features on the web client now is the ability to actually connect across systems so that you can represent the need to align a work order with an activity and an asset plan with the arrival of a helicopter, for instance. These cross-plan dependencies is a new and unique possibility in our tool. We don't have it yet, but that's high up on our wish list and roadmap.
Yeah, good. And then there is a recurring one on the implementation time, which I think elaborated on. The standard off-the-shelf implementation, 6 to 8 weeks, and then more on. About safety critical jobs, do you also provide an algorithm to provide a quantitative view of risk? Do you have some more specifications about what types of risks it might influence?
Yeah, so what we do now for some customers is that we integrate with their safety barrier panel systems, which do these kind of things. So we are a presentation arena for this information. You can see on the different areas of the platform, the degradation of safety barriers, hydrocarbon leakages, and stuff like that. But we don't provide or calculate that data. That's a special, again, one of the silo systems. It's important to do that, right? So, but we are a natural place to integrate that into the broader decision making. That becomes the kind of the backdrop for the work permit discussions and the work order planning and stuff like that. So that's how these things fit into our picture.
Yeah. And on that note, it's worth mentioning that we are developing APIs so that systems also can take information out of Vis-A-Vis and do, for example, a QRA analysis on data or optimizing algorithms or what have you. The main development has been based on around oil and gas. Do you feel it would be suitable for international major construction projects which may need to share resources and planning?
Yeah, interesting. We have been talking with many other domains also who recognize the fundamental challenges. It's different data and constraints, but the nature of the complexity of the problem is the same. And so I believe there's a potential there. But again, I think we need to work deeply, as I have tried to explain here, to really understand the differences and the data. But that would be interesting.
It would be maybe fair to say that organizations or companies that are dealing with many planning disciplines that needs to be coordinated, and also in the execution mode, of course, many disciplines involved in maintaining or operating the assets. So another example outside of oil and gas is, of course, Borregaard in the process industry, the biofuel facility south of Oslo. Yeah. Do you have a data model to serve as a template to map, integrate customer source systems?
Yeah, you could say that what we have in Vis-A-Vis is a generalized data model for CMMS and plan systems and all this. And we are now working to expose that as APIs, so that work is being refined, I would say.
Good.
Yeah.
Regarding expansion, what are your primary market outside the Norwegian continental shelf?
Yeah, that's one for you.
That's one for me, perhaps. Yeah. We this year we established a subsidiary in Singapore to serve the Southeast Asia market. Not only oil and gas, upstream as well as downstream, but of course also the process industries and other industries in that region. We have also established partnerships recently in that regions to be working with us and our customers to implement Vis-A-Vis on their facilities. So yes, we are expanding. We have also established a subsidiary in Sweden to serve the process market and the Nordic markets on especially the process industry. So we are expanding into new industries and new regions as we speak, so to speak.
And even today we are delivering to US, Canada, Peru.
Yeah, so we have a global
Austria,
global presence already. Peru, Bolivia, US, Canada, Europe, of course. Do you have how is it to interact with Vis-A-Vis? How is it to interact with Vis-A-Vis in the new work environment where a lot of people in home offices or different locations?
Yeah. Well, it also works via Teams, but some of the qualities of meeting in front of this large screen, similar to the old-fashioned boards, coordination boards, that is a bit lost, and people also are more aware of what is lost by just sitting like that, and the sort of meetings and discussions that you have. So, but it works, and one of the things we're doing with the web client is to make it also able to work optimally on very small screen sizes, even within Teams sharing and so on.
And I guess that also goes with the cloud web paradigm, that the solution is available everywhere, anywhere, anytime. So you can of course use it from home offices as well. I think of course what you mentioned about the real power is when you meet in this collaborative environment and you can really work together and solve issues and problems together in a collaborative context. How long time do you foresee for implementing Vis-A-Vis for a general oil and gas operator? Yeah, we've been touching upon that, so that I think is depending a little bit, but standard solution configuration 6 to 8 weeks, and then you are good to go, which we are doing now with several customers. Okay. No more questions. That's good. Thank you very much for your interaction and the questions. Really appreciate it. Thank you for your time. I know you're all have busy days, so I really appreciate that you take the time to be here with us today. And just as a closing note, on October 6th, it will be a webinar with a customer telling how they are using it. And of course, the video customer case with Neptune Energy, with the head of onshore operations, Erik Winge, which I also believe is very informative with respect to how it's used in one of our customers. So with that, thank you, Øystein. Thank you for attending. Hope to see you soon. Take care.